Hi, happy Friday, everybody. If anyone snuck in and I don't see your name, if you snuck in under the radar, hi, I'm Rachel, PT in the area and Pilates instructor over the last, 19 years or so. And we have a 45-minute mat class today. We're going to be working balance, core, shoulders, hips, a little bit of everything. A lot of bit of everything. Move at your own pace. This is flow style, so we're not going to be hung up on one exercise for any particular amount of time. As always, if anything we do during the class doesn't feel great for you on this particular day during this particular class, every day is kind of a new adventure. Stop and sit tight for a minute. Maybe just close your eyes and listen to the way I'm explaining things. There might be a modification that we can make during class that will make it a little bit more palatable to your body. If not, though, please feel free to find any modification that works better for you. And then if you want to stick around, I have a couple minutes in the can chat afterwards if you had any questions. But let's go ahead and get moving. We're going to start standing up on our mats. Once we're there, I'll get my timer going. All right, we got 45 minutes of work starting right now. We get our hands down by our sides. Let's line up our feet underneath our sit bones. So we have a relatively narrow base of support here, and those feet are going to be parallel to each other, pointing directly toward the screen. Let's picture a string at the crown of the head, drawing us all the way up to the ceiling, and that same string dropping like a plumb line right between your ankle bones. We're going to take a big breath in, arms come up to the ceiling, touch those palms if you can. Exhale them out to the sides and all the way down. One more time, big breath in, arms come up and overhead. This time we're going to clasp the palms, press those hands up to the ceiling, straighten those elbows as best you can. If it doesn't feel great, if you get too much pulling under the arms or in the elbows, go ahead and feel free to bend your elbows to put some slack back in the system. We're going to hold our arms where they are, draw the belly and the spine toward each other. That'll activate a little seatbelt of muscles right around the waistline. And from here, keeping everything from the waistband and lower nice and still, we're going to take a nice tall side bend up to either top side of the room where the wall and ceiling meet. Up and over, up and over. Let's pause on the next side. We're going to keep the arm on the side we're moving away from nice and still. Let's unhook those hands. We'll reach our other one right down by our side and then stretch it toward the feet. So we're moving our one hand up toward the ceiling, the opposite hand toward our feet. That should give us a nice lengthening through that opposite side of the body. We'll inhale up to the ceiling with those arms, bodies up nice and tall. Reclasp those hands as we stretch ourselves, reaching over to the other side. Feel the length from that armpit all the way to the pelvis. We'll unclasp those hands. Let's drop the arm on the side we're reaching toward, and then those fingertips on either hand reach away from each other. Feel that nice length from the rib cage all the way down to the pelvis. We'll inhale, arms up to the ceiling. Let's exhale them out on a T. Hands and shoulders are the same distance from the floor, same height, and we're going to roll those hands in circles. Let the ball spin in the socket for both of those shoulders. We're thinking about reaching our collarbones away from the center of the body, and those fingertips are reaching toward the wall out to either side of us. Circle for 3, for 2, for 1. Let's take it the other direction. Spin those hands toward the screen. We'll circle for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Reach those fingers away from each other. Squeeze your blades together. We're going to pulse the blades together. Hands come to the wall behind us for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's take our hands down by our sides. Give those shoulders a little roll backwards. Work out some of those crunchies. Last 2. And 1. We'll drop the blades to the floor. Spread those fingers apart from each other. We're going to take the heels of our hands right to our hip bones. And the fingertips are going to touch. Index finger and middle finger are going to touch right underneath that belly button. Thumb is pointed up toward that angle of the rib. And we're going to shift our weight toward the toes and toward the heels. As we move forward and back here, try to keep that trunk and pelvis nice and still. Try not to let the back overarch or overflex. We should feel a little bit of work in those muscles right underneath the hands. Very subtly, we're tightening as we hit those end ranges of our base of support. We're doing this in response to gravity. It's not much you have to think about. We're going to shift our weight right back over the front of the ankles. Let's move our fingertips to the front of the waistline, thumbs to the back. Keeping that core engaged, we're going to shift our weight from side to side. Gently push the floor away with your feet. We're going to feel our hips and glutes working a little bit, and we're going to feel those muscles tighten underneath our fingertips and underneath our thumbs as we transfer our weight from foot to foot. Let's make some circles around that base of support. Move in a range where you can keep your entire foot on the floor. Those arches are a little bit lifted. They're keeping us nice and stable. Let's reverse it. We'll circle the other way. Here's 4, 3, 2. Last one, we're going to shift toward the toes. Feel those fingertips tighten, feel those muscles tighten under the fingertips as we shift the weight to the balls of the feet. We're going to hover our heels up just a slight bit off the floor. Maybe we take them up a little higher. Maybe we lift those heels 2 inches off the mat. Maybe 3 inches off the mat. Maybe 4 inches all the way up. Feel those muscles tighten underneath those fingertips. We could add to this by taking those arms up and overhead. Weight is forward. Feel those calves working to hold you up nice and steady. Keeping the weight toward the balls of the feet, we're going to lower our heels down. Soften the knees, shift the weight right back over the front of the ankles, and let's take our arms down by our sides. Shake out those knees. We're going to prepare to make our way down to the mat, to hands and knees. We'll take a quarter turn, so we're lengthwise on that mat. If you do need more padding for your knees, feel free to grab a rolled up towel or double up your mat when we get there. But let's back ourselves up. We're going to line our heels up with our shoulders now, a little bit wider of base of support. The hands come right to where those thighs fold into your pelvis, right to the front of the hips. And we're going to fold forward over our hands. The crown of the head goes toward the front of the mat. The tailbone goes toward the wall behind us. We're going to pause at that first hint of stretch or just of resistance that we feel through the back of the thighs. We want to keep this from the back of the knee to those sit bones. We're trying to keep it out of the lower legs. So if you do feel it in the lower legs of the feet, bend those knees a touch. We're going to wiggle through this position. Let's wiggle into the backs of those thighs. We're loosening up all that connective tissue around our muscles. We're focusing on keeping that pelvis nice and still, that tailbone nice and still as we wiggle the knees. Bend and straighten for 3, 2, and 1. Let's soften them up a bit. Arms are going to come down toward the mat. They're vertical. Letting gravity hang them down toward the floor. And let's row. Squeeze the blades, tuck those elbows in by the sides, and release the hands toward the floor. Let's repeat for 8, for 7, for 6. We could always be a little more angled up with the crown of the head toward where the wall and ceiling meet if we need a little pressure off those backs and legs. Let's row again, holding it there. Elbows stay tucked in by the sides as we straighten and bend for triceps presses. Warm up those muscles for the work they're going to be doing when we're on hands and knees. Press for 4, for 3, for 2, for 1. Let's extend those arms right back down to the floor. Keeping that core active, we're going to bend our knees and take our hands all the way down to the mat. As we come down, we're going to walk ourselves to a position where the knees are resting on the floor. If you do need padding, feel free to put them there. We won't be here for very long now, but keep that padding handy for a little bit later. We're going to keep that core drawn in, belly to spine. Let's keep our big toes pressed into the floor as we rock the bottom back to the heels, warm up the soles of the feet and those toes, and come right back up to all fours. Exhale, bottom to the heels. Inhale, back up. One more time. Exhale, rock the bottom back to the heels. Inhale, back up to all fours. We'll turn the tops of the feet down to the floor now and roll through cat, releasing to cow. Initiate with that pelvis, curling the pubic bone toward the breastbone. That belly comes toward the ceiling, toward the spine. Release, take it through the other direction through a range that feels good. I don't want you to feel any compression, any pinching, or any overly pulling sensations, either in front or in back. Let's take that body right back to neutral. Trunk and upper body stay still as we wag our tail, bringing the hips side to side toward the screen and away. Take that body right back to neutral. Our feet come together. Let's bring those knees apart. We're going to rock the bottom back to the heels. Drop the shoulders away from your ears here. We're going to press the heels of the hands firmly into the mat. Hold it there. If we press the heels of the hands forward toward the mat, we should feel a little bit of work through those shoulder blade muscles. We're going to hold it here and shift our weight toward the screen and away. Press the floor away with your hands. We're using our muscles in front to pull. We're using the muscles on the sides of the shoulders, on the outsides, to push away. Shift it for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Taking the body right back to the middle. Let's walk or inch or slide our hands toward the front of our mat, lowering the forehead down toward the floor. You're welcome to drop the elbows if you need to take some slack back into the system. We're going to wiggle our armpits toward the floor. First, that one that's closest to the screen. Then we'll lift it up and rock the other one. So we're getting a little bit of rotation through our trunk, mobilizing those muscles between the ribs, letting those lats stretch out all the way from the lower part of the rib cage in the back, right next to the spine, all the way out to those shoulder blades. Rock it for 4, Other armpit down for 3. Switch for 2 and 1. Let's come right back to neutral. Forearms come to the floor and we'll shift our weight right over them. Let's take our legs back behind the body. We're going to come to rest on the upper thighs. Keep that belly gently drawn up toward the ceiling. And let's squeeze our shoulder blades together, letting that breastbone drop toward, but not all the way to the floor. Press those shoulder blades toward the mat, reversing. Breastbone lifts. Squeeze the blades, press them away. Squeeze and press twice more. Squeeze those blades together, press them toward the floor. Last one, squeeze. Press those blades toward the floor. We're going to breathe in. As we exhale, let's press into that forearm farthest from the screen. We're going to turn ourselves onto our back and bend our knees, lining those heels up with our sit bones. Take a second to get yourself situated if you need to make any little wiggling adjustments. We're going to walk our heels till they're lined up with our sit bones, about 6 inches away from the buttocks here. And we're going to picture that clock face on our pelvis and abdomen, 12 by the breastbone, 6 by that pubic bone, 3 and 9 on either side. Keeping the chin knotted and the back of the body pressed firmly into the floor from the upper part of the shoulder blades all the way to the lowest part of the ribs. We're going to curl that pelvis toward 12 o'clock, pubic bone toward breastbone. And we're going to reverse, take it the other direction, lengthen that pubic bone back down toward the heels. Curl to 12, lengthen to 6. One more time, curl to 12, lengthen to 6. We'll take the body right back to neutral. Keep the belly engaged gently toward the spine, and we're going to rock that pelvis side to side, rotating it away from the screen toward that opposite wall, toward the screen. Thighs are parallel to each other. They're pistoning toward the ceiling. One comes up as the other one comes down. The heels and feet will press a little bit unevenly, asymmetrically into the floor as we rock in order to keep the lower half of the body nice and still. Let's rock one more time to each side. We'll take that pelvis right back to neutral. Big breath in. As we exhale, draw that belly toward the spine. And we're going to take one knee up to tabletop, parallel with that chin. We'll bring the other one up to meet it. Let's hold here. We're going to reset, making sure we can engage that navel enough to keep it drawn back toward the spine. With the hands pressed into the floor, I want you to decide if you need to take a little pressure off the core, in which case we draw the knees a little closer to the shoulders, or if you want to challenge it a little further, in which case we take it past 90 degrees, reaching our feet a little bit closer to the wall in front of us. Feel the difference in core activation. Maybe we wiggle through those ranges a little bit. Try to keep those shins parallel to the ceiling as we press our feet toward the wall and then pull the knees toward the shoulders. Let's wiggle here for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Coming right back to 90 degrees at the hips. You decide if the knees pull in a little closer, stay where they are, or if we press the feet a little farther forward. And from that position of your choosing, we're going to take our hands right to the front of our thighs. Press the hands and thighs toward each other. Feel that core engaged. Feel it engage a little more as we press a little bit more firmly into the thighs. Let's wiggle those knees. We'll straighten and bend, bringing the knees to a straight position, feet toward the ceiling, and then bending right back to our tabletop. Straighten and bend for 4, for 3, for 2. Last one, we're going to press those feet up to the ceiling, glue them together if we can. Maybe we need to bend the knees. Maybe we need to bring those feet all the way down to the mat, one or the other, or both, for a little assistance. Let's arc our hands forward till they're lined up with the top of our trunk. We're going to nod the chin and keep that chin gently nodded toward the neck as we pat for our 100 breaths. We inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, exhale. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhale. Keep that pattern going. Maybe we drop one leg toward the floor, leaving it in a hover. Again, one or both knees could be bent for a little leverage off. We could always drop one leg to the mat, giving us a little preview of our hamstring stretches to come. Inhale that leg to the ceiling. Exhale. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see about lowering the other leg down toward the mat. Breathe it in, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale back to the ceiling. Let's lift those palms up, pressing the air toward our light fixtures. Breathe it in, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale. Last breath in. Breathe it out, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's pull those knees back toward tabletop. Hold them there as we flip our palms to face the floor. We're going to take our hands down to the mat, press those shoulder blades down to the floor, Think about widening the collarbones away from the center of the body. We're going to draw those knees a bit closer into the chest, and let's rock the knees away from and toward the screen, keeping those shoulder blades down. Rock them side to side. It's okay if those hip bones come up a bit off the floor. We should feel our side muscles working as we rotate with that lower body. Rotate for 4, for 3, for 2, and for 1. Coming right back to that tabletop position. Again, pulled in a little closer to the shoulders or pressed away, depending on the challenge you want. We're going to open our arms up to the ceiling. Arms are vertical. We're going to drop those blades to the floor, reset that chin in a nice little nod so we feel a little bit of a lengthening down the back of the spine. Let's reach our shoulder blades up to the ceiling and then let them come back down to the mat. Press to the ceiling, lower them down. Let's repeat here for 4, for 3, chin stays nice and still. Last one, lower those blades to the floor. Let's pull the knee farthest from the screen all the way into the chest. Keep that belly drawn down away from the thigh, down toward the spine. And we're going to lengthen that leg all the way out toward the wall in front of us, pausing when the heel is hovered just slightly up off the floor. We're going to picture those toes stretching out as far away from our bent in knee as we can. And that lifted, hovered leg goes side to side for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Pull that leg right back to the center. Belly stays drawn in. Circle that straight leg on the wall in front. Here's 4, 3, 2. Pausing at the bottom, big breath in. As we exhale, we'll circle the other way for 4, for 3, 2, and 1. Stretch that leg forward, big breath in. As we exhale, we pull that knee all the way into the chest. Keep that core engaged. We'll stretch our opposite leg out to that hovered position. Keep the belly engaged again as we take that newly hovered leg side to side. There's 4, 3, 2, and 1. Stretch that foot forward. Circle the wall for 4, 3, 2. Pause and reverse. Exhale, circle. Last 4 here. 3, 2, and 1. Keep that chin knotted. We're going to take our hands down to the mat. Switch those legs. Pull the opposite knee into the chest. Press the other leg forward. Pull and press. We want to make sure as we're extending one leg, we're spending equal and opposite energy, pulling the other knee in toward the shoulders. That'll help us work our core a little bit more. Switch it up for 4, for 3. Good job. You got this. Last one. Let's pull both knees into the chest. Give them a hug with the hands right at the top of the shins, and we'll rock that body side to side. Take it back to the center. Circle those shoulders back and down. One more time. Up, back, and down. Anchor those shoulder blades down toward the hips, and we're going to take that leg closest to the screen, slide it all the way along the mat. Nice and straight. Tighten up the front of that thigh. Hang on to the back of your other thigh, and we'll lift that leg up into a hamstring stretch. Get that knee as straight as you can without feeling like you're pulling into your hip flexors. I want you to feel this length through the back of the thigh. Flex and point that ankle and those toes. Point the toes and wiggle them in and out, side to side, getting a little mobility through the lower leg. Point those toes to the ceiling again, and keeping the core engaged, we're going to press our hands into the mat. Let's take our lifted leg side to side. Keep it going. Maybe we hover that supporting leg off the mat. Let's make some circles. Sweep them on the ceiling for 4. For 3, hips are pointed like headlights to the ceiling. Pause at the top, breathing in. Exhaling, circle the other way. Remembering we could bend that knee if we need to take some slack back into the system. Pause at the top. We're going to pull that knee all the way into the chest. Give it a little squeeze. Big breath in. Exhaling, switch those legs. Pull the other one in. Slide that opposite leg out along the mat. We'll hang on behind our thigh and lengthen that newly lifted leg to the ceiling. Again, find that stretch point. Keep that hip flexor relaxed as best you can. We'll flex and point through those toes. Twice more. Pointing the toes, we'll wiggle that feet side to side toward the screen and away. Point those toes to the ceiling. Hands come right down by the body. Maybe we draw that core in a little more and hover that supporting leg. As we take our lifted leg out toward the screen and back the other way. Side to side for 3, for 2, for 1. Lift to the ceiling and we'll sweep through our circles. Reach those toes to the light fixtures, adjusting your knee position as you see fit. One more sweep this way, pause at the top, inhale. Exhaling, circle it the other way. Last 4, 3, 2, 1. Hang on behind that thigh. We're going to roll our shoulders back and down. Keep the core engaged as we switch our legs, switch the grip. Lift and switch, lift and switch. Repeat. Here's 4, 3, 2, and 1. We're going to bring both legs toward the ceiling. Hang on right behind the knees, just a little bit closer to the buttocks versus the back of the knees. Bend the knees if we need to add a little slack into the system. We'll wiggle those ankles, flex and point, circle them in opposite directions of each other. And then let's flex those feet. We're going to pull our toes away from each other as our heels come together. So we have a nice narrow V at those feet. Hands are by the sides. If the knees are bent, the knees are going to be a little bit apart from each other. We have a little bit of outward rotation through our hips right now. We're going to draw the core in. As we exhale, we're going to press our feet a little bit closer to the wall and ceiling. A little closer to the ceiling takes a little pressure off the core. A little closer to the top corner or to the middle of the wall puts a little more work through those abdominal muscles. Inhale, heels come in toward the pubic bone. Exhale, press them out, straightening the knees as best we can. Inhale, pull. Exhale and press. We could just wiggle through mid-range if that's what works for you in terms of stability. I want you to play around with 4 more at your own speed. When you've finished your 4, we're going to pull those knees all the way into the chest and give them a hug. I'm going to do 1 more here for good measure. Pull those knees in. These are apart from each other initially. Let's point our toes, draw those legs toward each other. And again, we'll rock that body side to side. Nice work. Take them right back to the middle. Hang on to those knees. We're going to draw everything back up to that 90-90 tabletop position. Belly draws in, arms come to the ceiling. Let's flex up our feet. Everything else stays nice and still. Let's lower a heel toward the mat and lift it up and switch it through. We'll move through here at a pace that's working for you. If you want to make this more challenging, we start in tabletop and we exhale, bringing our heels down together. Inhale and back up to 90 degrees. Exhale and lower. Inhale and lift. Exhale and lower. Inhale and lift. Let's repeat. Here's 4, 3, 2, last 1. Everything pulls right back up to tabletop. Hold in here. Big breath in. Exhale, belly to spine. Extend those arms back overhead. Reach them toward the wall behind and draw the shoulders toward the floor. We're going to hold here. And again, we repeat 1 heel down and up, and then the other. Let's walk them through. I want you to make sure your middle back is pressed toward the floor. If it's hard, really hard to keep them there with the arms back, feel free to pop them a little closer to the back top corner of the room. Let's bring ourselves to tabletop, pull those knees into the chest, and rock everything side to side. Let's take a big breath in, breathe it out. We'll come right back to the middle and let's take our feet back down to the mat. Hands are by the sides, feet and knees are hip width apart. So heels are lined up basically with those sit bones, maybe a little bit farther out. Heels are about 6 inches away from the buttocks. We're going to curl twice through 12 to 6 pelvic clock positions. Take the pelvis back to neutral. Let's wiggle through our 3 to 9. Let's take everything back to neutral. Big breath in. Exhaling, draw that belly to the spine. We're going to press through our heels and lift up to bridge. And let's control the body back down to the mat. Press to bridge. Control it back down. Press to bridge. Control it back down. 1 more time. Press to bridge. We're going to hold here. Lengthen those kneecaps toward the wall in front. We're going to give it a nice little stretch through the hip flexors, through those 2 joint quads that cross the knees. Holding those hips up nice and high. Let's come up onto our toes and then press our heels to the floor. Lift the heels, lower them down. Repeat. Here's 4, 3, 2, and 1. With those heels down, squeeze the glutes, lift them to the ceiling. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Hold, big breath in. Exhale, lengthen down with control. And when that tailbone touches the mat, we'll release our glutes and rock those knees side to side. Let's take a big breath in here and a big breath out. One more time, big breath in and big breath out. Coming right back to neutral, we'll inhale. Breathe out belly to spine, press back up into that bridge. We're going to keep our glutes engaged. Keep those big toes pressed into the floor and both knees pop out to the side and come right back to the center. Press them away. Bring them back to the center. Press them away. Back to the center. Keep those hips lifted. Press the knees apart. Take them back to the center, one leg at a time, starting with that knee closest to the screen. Out and in. Out and in. Maybe we take our hands right to our abdomen, ensuring that those hip bones are staying nice and still. Switch them off for 4, for 3, 2, and 1. Hands to the floor, big breath in. Exhale, bridging down. Again, we release the glutes at the bottom. Let's rock our knees side to side for 4, for 3, for 2, and for 1. Let's bring those knees right back to the ceiling. Inch the heels just a touch closer to the buttocks as we take a big breath in. Breathe it out, draw that core in. Press to bridge, we're gonna hold and we're gonna move through our march. One knee to tabletop and back down. Switch it up. Switch. Keep it going. We could keep our march going or we could pause with a leg at tabletop and take it down and up. We have 4 more on each side, whether we're marching or moving through a single leg bridge. Let's take our feet down. If we're in single leg bridge, last 4. Here's 3. Here's 2. Here's 1. Let's take that second foot down. We'll breathe into that bridge, lifting those hips just a touch further to the ceiling. Exhale, bridge it down. Release those glutes at the bottom, rock the knees side to side. Here's 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's bring them back to the center. We're going to take that leg closest to the screen, cross the ankle over to the other knee, lift up into that figure 4 stretch. Rock away from the cross leg if we can. Even if that foot's on the floor, we can rock away from that cross leg. Feel that stretch through our glute and those other rotators. We'll take our foot down, switch it up, opposite ankle crosses. Lift to figure 4 if you have that mobility. We'll rock the body away from that cross leg side. I'm taking mine toward the screen. Let's inhale back to the center, unwind those legs, give them a hug into the chest. We'll bring our feet to the floor and let's make our way over to hands and knees. If you do want to add that padding or double your mat over, now's a great time to do that. We'll come up all the way onto all 4s, wrists and shoulders, knees and hips are lined up. If your wrists don't like this position, you're welcome to come up onto your fists. That's always another option. We're trying to get the back of the head, the middle back between the shoulder blades, and that sacrum right below the curve in your back, aligned with each other in a relatively straight line. Keeping the core engaged, we're going to curl to cat and reverse to cow. One more time, curl to cat, reverse to cow. Let's take it back to neutral. Shoulders stay nice and still as we wag our tail side to side with the hip coming toward the screen and away. Pause with the hip coming toward the screen. We're going to look over that shoulder, find your foot, cross the other one over. Grab onto that foot. We're working a little shoulder stability in our weight bearing side. We're going to give that waistline a little stretch. Pull that foot in towards your shoulder. Take a big breath. Exhaling, switch it up. We'll come back through the center, wag the tail to the other wall. Look over that shoulder, find your foot, and cross the other foot over. Grab onto that ankle or foot, pull it towards your shoulder, feel that side of the waistline closest to the screen opening up. Feel that shoulder blade doing some work. Let's unwind, hold it here right in the center. Reset the belly to the spine, and we'll squeeze and press through those shoulder blades. Keep it going. Good, let's come up to single arm. Pick one side, we'll try them both. If there's a side you're not comfortable bearing all your weight on, by all means, stay on all 4s or switch arms already. We have 2 more here otherwise. And then everybody can switch to our other side. Hand to the thigh, squeeze and press through those blades. Good. Here's 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's take that second hand down. Let's stretch one leg back behind the body and lift that opposite arm up in front. Find your balance point and switch through. We want to picture something being balanced in the small of your back, something that we wouldn't want to tip over. Let's switch through at a pace that's working for you. We might all be a little bit different here. That's okay. We're going to pause. Keep that leg still. See if you can switch your arms. The hand comes down, the leg stays still. We're going to shift our weight toward that bent knee. Come up onto the fingertips on the other arm, maybe opening that arm up in front of us. Switch the hands, leg stays still. Switch again. Switch one more time. We have opposite arm and leg lifted, big breath in. Breathing out, we'll come back down to all fours. Inhale to prepare. Exhale, stretch the opposite leg and arm away from the center of the body. Shift the weight, keep the leg where it is. Come up onto the fingertips, maybe extending that arm overhead. Leg stays still, shift and switch the hands. Shift and switch. Let's do one more time here. Hold it here. Hand comes down, knees come down. Cat and cow, curl and release. One more time, curl, reverse it. Take it back to neutral. Let's keep our knees where we are for starters. We're going to move into our shoulder taps. Take a hand up to the opposite shoulder and then switch it up. Keep that going. We could always walk the hands forward, moving into a plank on the knees, or even to a high plank. Keeping going with those shoulder taps. Switch it for 4, wherever you are. 2 more. Last one. Hands come down, knees come down if they've been lifted. One more time, curl and release. Take it back to neutral. Holding it here, we're going to take that arm closest to the screen, out to the side. Sweep it with your breastbone. Breastbone's coming to the screen, hand comes up toward the ceiling. Let's take our hand back down, switch it up. Opposite arm out to the side. Spin that breastbone toward the opposite wall. Hand comes down, spin and reach. One more time, hand comes down, spin and reach. Let's bring those hands back down to the mat, back up to the middle of your mat if you're not already there, and we're going to take our forearms down to the floor. Press those shoulder blades forward to the mat, keep that core engaged, and with a bent knee, lift the leg up and down. I have my one closest to the screen, lifting and lowering. You can pick whichever, we'll do them both. Hold that leg up, thigh stays still as we curl through our hamstrings for 4, for 3, for 2, for 1, flex that foot, pulse to the ceiling, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's bring that knee down. We'll switch to our other side, re-engage the core if you need to. Opposite bent knee, lift and lower. Lift it up, lower it down. We may be limited in how high we can lift that bent knee if those quads or hip flexors are limited. Mine are a bit limited. My knee is slightly below my hips when I keep my spine neutral here. Keep the thigh still. We'll straighten and bend that knee for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Flex the foot, pulse to the ceiling. Squeeze for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's bring that knee down. Feet come together, knees come apart. We're going to lower the bottom down to the heels and walk those hands toward the front of our mat. Again, we could bend the elbows if we need to take some slack out of the system, or back into the system rather. We're going to place that forehead down to the floor. Inhale, and breathing out, we'll walk our hands toward our screen. Hold here for a breath. Breathing out, let's walk our hands to the other side. Inhale again. Exhale, walk those hands forward. We're going to take our forearms down, shift the weight over the forearms, and just like we did at the beginning of class, we're going to come to rest on those upper thighs. Shoulder blades stay pressed into the floor now. We curl that pelvis toward 12 o'clock and the belly stays drawn toward the spine. Let's keep that core engaged and the trunk nice and still. We're going to bend one knee, bring the heel toward the bottom, straighten it out and switch. Feel free to adjust your leg position if you need to take pressure off your kneecaps. If you want to make this harder, speed it up. Kick, kick, double kick, double kick. We get a little dynamic stretch to the front of the thighs. We also have to work a little harder to keep that trunk still. Switch it for 4. For 3, great job. Here's 2. And 1. Let's press ourselves all the way back up to hands and knees. Feel your core engaged to help you do that. One final set here, 3 cats and 3 cows. Curl it up and reverse. Taking it through, as always, a range that feels good on your back. No pinching, no pulling. Take it back to neutral. And we're going to take ourselves up to a long sitting position. Feet are in the front of the mat. We're getting our weight over the front of the sit bone. So the trunk is going to be vertical. Bend your knees up as much as you need to get them there. Let's take our feet out to a narrow V. So one foot's at each of those sides of the mat. We're going to flex those feet. You can point them if you want. I prefer to flex them because I have more to reach toward. A little closer. We're going to keep our bellies engaged and bring our hands up in line with the feet. Palms face in toward each other, and that core stays active as we hinge forward, reaching the hands toward the wall in front of us. I like to keep my feet flexed because I can really reach my fingertips past my toes. We're going to inhale up nice and tall. Exhale, hinge forward. Gaze is toward the front of your mat. Inhale up tall, gaze is toward the wall directly in front of you. Hinge it forward. Bring it up tall. One more time, hinge forward, lengthen out through the back of the legs. Inhale up tall. We'll bring our feet together, hands are down by the sides, shake out those knees a touch. Let's bend up those knees, lining our heels up with our sit bones. And we're going to take our hands to the outsides of the knees. Press the heels of the hands firmly right into the area, just a little closer to the hips from that knee joint line. Press the hands and knees toward each other. We're going to let our bodies angle backwards, straighten out those elbows a touch until we feel some core work. I don't want you to feel this in your back. If you do, I want you to come up a little taller. Keeping that pressure through the hands, look forward, and we're going to alternate, taking one arm out to the side and then back to that knee. Switch up your pressure, opposite arm comes out, back to the knee. Let's repeat here for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Hands come back to the center, grab to those shins, pull yourself up nice and tall. We're going to take our hands back behind our bottoms. Fingertips are pressed either toward the bottom or out to either side toward the screen in the opposite wall. We're going to straighten our elbows, squeeze those blades. And if you have a little more, again, a little more slack to take out, moving into that stretch through the biceps and also through that chest wall, we can inch our bottoms forward toward our heels. Send your breastbone up toward where the wall and ceiling meet in front of you. Take a breath here, feel that chest open up and breathe it out. We have 2 more breaths here. We could stay where we are or press through the heels and lift up into reverse tabletop. You choose. Big breath in wherever we are. Exhale. One more time, big breath in. Exhaling, we'll take our bottoms all the way down to the mat. Let's shake out our wrists. And we're going to turn and lie down all the way on one side. Rest on that bottom arm, knees come forward, heels line up with that rear end. Top hand's going to press into the floor. We're going to shoot for 6 repetitions of each of these exercises. If you need to go a little quicker or a little more slowly than me, that's completely fine. Draw the belly in and lift your waistline up just a touch. I could drive a little toy car underneath it. Top hand presses into the floor. We lift the knees up and down. Here's 6, 5, 4. Good. Keep it going. Listen to your body. If you need to move a little quickly or a little more slowly, that's okay. Top knee comes up and down. We can let go of that wrist if we want. Hand could be on the belly. Hand could be on the hip. We could have our hand on our thigh and give ourselves a little pressure. Knees come down. Let's lift our feet. Everything else stays still, including that waistline lift. Good. Here's 3, 2. Hold that final one up there. Knee comes up and down again, top knee. Here's 4, 3, 2. Hold that top knee up there. Lower both toes to the floor. Lift them back up. Lower and lift. Keep it going. Here's 3, 2. Feel that bottom hip working a bit. Last one, lift. We're going to keep our feet lifted, knees come down. Now the feet come down, fire hydrant lifts. Everything stays still, but that top shin, knee and foot lift up. Here's 2. Here's 1, back to hip height. Swing the knee forward and back. We have 3 of these, forward and back. Forward, swing it back, bring that front knee or that top knee up in line with the bottom knee, straighten the bottom leg out, top leg comes up and down, fire hydrant lifts. Feel how we have to work a little harder to maintain that stability. Here's 3, 2, 1, back to hip height, top hand to the floor. We're gonna straighten that top leg out in front, swing it back, swing it forward, swing it back. One more time, swing it forward, swing it back, toes touch down behind. Keep it going behind the bottom leg. Here's 3, 2, 1. We're going to take those toes forward, touch them down in front for 6, 5. They only need to lift up to hip height. Here's 3, 2, 1. Line up that top leg with the trunk, pulse it for 6, 5, 4, right up to the ceiling. 3, 2, and 1. Last one's here. Bottom foot comes up and down. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Take those feet down, bend the knees up. Give that top leg a little pat, and we're going to reach our top arm toward the screen. Inhaling, let's take that arm to the ceiling, and we'll exhale back. Look over that shoulder. Look toward your hand as we reach that shoulder toward the mat. Get as close as you comfortably can, and then we'll inhale the arm to the ceiling and exhale it forward. All right, let's take ourselves up and over to the other side. We'll lie on that arm. If that arm's not comfortable here, we can always straighten it out or tuck it in by the body. You decide. Knees are forward, heels are lined up with the hips. Lift the waist, draw that core in, press the hands to the floor. Knees come up and down. Keep that top shoulder resting away from the ear. Here's 2. And 1. Knees come down, clamshell lifts. Here's 3, 2, 1. Knees down, lift those feet. Here's 3, 2, lift and hold, top knee. Press that bottom leg into the floor. 3, 2, hold that knee open, feet come down, feet lift. Good. Keep that waistline up. Here's 3, 2, 1. Lift those feet and hold. Top knee comes down. Feet come down. Lift that top leg up. Fire hydrant lifts. Here's 4, 3, 2, 1. Back to hip height with that knee. Swing it, bend knee forward. Swing it back. We have 2 more of these. Swing. Take it back. Last one. Press it back, bring that knee forward in line with the bottom leg, straighten the bottom leg and press it into the floor, fire hydrant lifts. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Back to hip height, straighten that top leg forward, and we'll swing it back. Swing it forward, swing it back. One more time, swing it forward, swing it back, hold it there, touch down 6 times. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lift that top leg forward, touch it to the ground, forward for 6, 5, just to hip height. 4, 3, 2, 1. Stretch that leg back till it lines up with the trunk, pulse it up and down. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bottom leg up and down. Last 6, 5. Pull from that inner thigh. 3, 2, 1. Feet come down, bend up those knees. Pat that hip out and let's stretch that top arm toward our screen. Inhale the arm up, exhale it back, looking over that shoulder. Inhale the arm up, exhale it forward. Nice work. Let's turn on our backs. We're going to bring our heels in toward the bottom and rock our knees away from the screen toward the screen. Again, rock them away. Rock them toward. Take them right to the middle. Pull those knees into the chest. Hanging onto those kneecaps, let's stir our hips in their socket a bit. Make some circles in opposite directions of each other. And let's take them the other way. Circle for 4, 3, 2, 1, final hug. Let's bring our feet down. We're going to turn toward our screen. We'll make our way up to a sitting position. Feet are either in front or crossed at the legs, at the hips. You decide what is working better for you in terms of letting you come up nice and tall on those sit bones. We're going to take our hands out to the sides, resting our fingertips on the mat. Let's inhale, shrug the shoulders up. Exhale, release them to the mat. Let's make some circles. We'll take them back and down for 4, for 3, for 2, and for 1. Keeping that core engaged, we're going to inhale the arms up to the ceiling, palms pressed together as we reach our fingertips up, and we'll exhale them into our center. Well, happy Friday, everybody. It's always nice to have you here, and definitely looking forward to seeing you next time. So have a great weekend.